Тепер представляємо важливий документальний фільм про ключову роль митрополита Андрея Шептицького у врятуванні більше ніж 250 єврейських дітей від певної смерти Голокосту під час нацистської окупації України під час Другої світової війни. Фільм створено на показ під час подорожуючої конференції, яку канадська організація «Українсько-єврейська зустріч» влаштувала торік у головних містах Канади і Сполучених Штатів Америки в честь митрополита Андрея Шептицького, який, ризикуючи своїм життям і майбутнім своєї церкви, переховував євреїв у своїх бібліотеці і у сиротинцях при студентських греко-католицьких монастирях. Про це розповідають свідки з Тель-Авіву, Лондону і Сполучених Штатів Америки.
The Metropolitan, seeing me, ushered me to himself, and he said, "This you did it, this you did." So I approached, very sort of, very not knowing what is going to be this huge man and so on. And he then started stroking my hair very, very gently and looking at me. And he said, "Nebisha detino, nebisha detino." And you know, this is something that till the end of my days, I remember these words. And he said afterwards that, you know, no harm will come to you here. Do not be afraid. Nothing bad will happen to you here. You are safe.
The time in the monastery was just a paradise for us, because we came from ghetto that we were short of food. We were very much scared because of the German occupation.
The monastery was self-sufficient as a farming community, which was one of the fortunate things, because being self-sufficient, it provided food. And until late in '43, when the Germans took away much of the cattle and much of the equipment, we really did not have problems as far as hunger is concerned.
Amidst the incessant turmoil and unbearable human suffering of the Second World War in Eastern Europe, the residence of Metropolitan Archbishop Andrey Count Sheptytsky at Sobor Святого Юра in Lviv remained an island of peace and refuge for all who called.
I'm no historian, nor am I an academician, but I am a witness to history, at least to some events in it, and I'm speaking to you here today for one reason only: to pay respect, reverence, and homage to a great man, His Holiness the Archbishop Metropolitan Andrey Count Sheptytsky.
It was the fall of 1942. I don't know whether it was September or October, but it was definitely the fall of 1942. And at the time I lived in a small village known in Polish as Szczerzyc and Ukrainian as Czurylowicz, where my paternal grandparents lived. And my father was lucky enough to have arranged to have me hidden in the monastery by Metropolitan Sheptytsky.
I had several minutes only with Archiegemon Sheptytsky. I remember my uncle brought me to his palace on the Jasna Góra, and he put his hand on my head and asked somebody to take me to one of the priests who lived in a village to teach me the language, the prayers, the behavior of Ukrainians. And this was the last time I saw Sheptytsky, and I saw my uncle. And this is how I was saved.
And he spoke to my mother, and my mother told him, he asked her questions, obviously, and she said, yes, we are the two of us now left alive, and the rest, my husband, the child of 6, who you see on the photograph there, my parents, everybody's been murdered, killed, all sorts. And the entire family, sort of further family, you know. And I'm the only one left with Lily here. And he said, and he, listening to her, sort of tears started going down his cheeks. I remember that because I looked at him and he was silent, he just listened, and then tears were going down his cheeks. And then he said, he gave instructions to whoever was there, a monk or a priest, that never, never will you separate the mother and this child. They have to be together.
The process of integrating children of various cultures, making Jewish children inconspicuous to the ever-searching Gestapo, required discretion and understanding.
So I was left in this new world, which I somehow instinctively, I don't remember my own feelings at the time, I'm sure they were very confused, but I instinctively felt that I had to adapt to, and that my life depended on adapting to this new world. I had to, at the age of 7, I spoke German, which was my native language, and Polish, which my nanny taught me. But now I had to learn Ukrainian. I had to learn the rudiments of those prayers that a 7-year-old would know. Ojcze nasz, Bohorodzice Divo. I had to learn how to read a little bit in Cerkovny so that I could follow the prayers in the prayer book. I had to learn how to cross myself and all of the other things that a 7-year-old would normally, living in that culture, know, so that I could pass.
Daniel Tymchina was the head of our orphanage, and he was very careful not to show others that we are Jewish. So we are taking baths, either 2 of us, 2 of the children, Jewish children, or the 3rd one was bathing with him, not to show our identity.
For a 7-year-old, that's a major thing to accomplish. And I know that every time my children, but particularly my grandchildren, reach the age of 7, I would look at them and I would marvel. That I could accomplish that.
The Metropolitan used his many personal connections and the wide network of his church in support of this integration and concealment process.
We were sent to Uboch, where Matei Humeni was the Mother Superior, and she took my mother in to her residence. She was separate from the actual convent and the orphanage, a little house separately, but within 2 steps from each other. And she took my mother, but she said also, don't be afraid, your mother is here and you are here, you are not going to be separated, which was quite wonderful. quite wonderful.
Here are some of the documents that the Gestapo was looking for me.
And gradually, I got used to the work schedule. We went to a school which was run by a schoolmaster. His name was Duke. Unbeknownst to us, there was another 5-year-old child with his mother and aunt hidden in the attic of Duke's house. That boy, eventually became Roald Hoffmann, who was a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry and professor of chemistry at Cornell, also a well-recognized poet. And he was hidden in that attic, which we didn't know about.
This is picture of Rabbi Kahane, who was saved with his family in the monastery of Sheptytsky, and after the war became the chief rabbi of the Polish army, and later he became chief rabbi here in Israel of the Air Force, and later chief rabbi of the Argentina.
There were 2 other Jewish boys in Univ at the time, Oded, and whose name was Dorko, and Danilo, who's Adam Daniel Rotfeld. And this is a photograph in front of the church with Brat Daniel Timchina, and here I am, sullen-looking in the back. And this is Oded, Dorko, and this is Daniel. This is a picture of Daniel. I call him Daniel. He's known as Adam Daniel Rotfeld. This is a photograph that he sent me some years later when he met with the Pope. And he indicated in his letter that he spoke about me with the Pope, and the Pope sent his blessings, and that he thanked in our name the church for doing what it did.
Шептицького, який, ризикуючи своїм життям і майбутнім своєї церкви, переховував євреїв у своїх бібліотеці і у сиротинцях при студентських греко-католицьких монастирях. Про це розповідають свідки з Тель-Авіву, Лондону і Сполучених Штатів Америки.
The Metropolitan, seeing me, ushered me to himself, and he said, it is you did it, it is you did. So I approached very sort of very not knowing what is going to be this huge man and so on.
Голокосту під час нацистської окупації України під час Другої світової війни. Фільм створено на показ під час подорожуючої конференції, яку канадська організація «Українсько-єврейська зустріч» влаштувала торік у головних містах Канади і Сполучених Штатів Америки в честь митрополита Андрея Шептицького.
And he then started stroking my hair very, very gently and looking at me. And he said, Nebisha detino, Nebisha detino. And you know, this is something that till the end of my days, I remember these words. And he said,
Тепер представляємо важливий документальний фільм про ключову роль митрополита Андрея Шептицького у врятуванні більше ніж 250 єврейських дітей від певної смерті.